kind of pitching myself here as somebody who's an experienced investor, but always, I'm definitely new to this business as well. I just want to speak about this product and just how much, it has really helped me, propel myself, get better with talking with sellers, actually be able to close a deal. My strategies right now have been primarily direct mail, cold calling, and cold texting. And I've found a lot of success with Real Estate IQ, especially being able to get in front of customers, have engaging conversations. And of course, I'm hoping to use all of that to build my own business and eventually retire off.
Excited to be here, and I want to say a big thank you to Real Estate IQ. They have the absolute top leads in the industry and just make investing effortless for all of us as real estate investors here in Texas and obviously everywhere else that they're focused. And I'm proud to be associated with Real Estate IQ. Love what you guys do and love how you all help investors so that we can focus on the thing that makes us the most money, which is the job of real estate investing.
I wanted to jump on this morning and give a shout out to Real Estate IQ. I began my journey with them years ago, just using some of the more basic products, the off-market leads. And since then, growing and visiting and talking with not only Steve, but other people who are involved with Real Estate IQ, I've had the opportunity to actually not only be a client, but I also became an investor with them. And that is one of the beauties of being able to be part of Real Estate IQ is it gives you the opportunity to grow as an investor, especially in real estate.
Morning. Welcome, guys.
Good morning.
We've been live, so let's get started. Dani, welcome.
Welcome. Hey, good morning. How are you?
We're doing well. Hi, Vincent.
See you.
Vincent Haynes says good morning.
Hey.
So let's get started. Today we have Dani, who is gonna teach us about a new class, Top 10 Investor Concerns, and he's gonna teach us how we can eliminate these concerns.
Mhm.
So Dani, feel free to take it away.
Sounds terrific. Sounds terrific. So, Steve, always a pleasure. I'm glad we are kicking off the new year. And I thought after our previous conversation, what can I bring to you, to the viewers, to really kick off things well in the new year. And I wanted to kind of go over a few things that I've put together that hopefully will help you guys just putting in the right mindset or approaching things in the right way in order to, again, all about helping you guys. Steve, do I need to introduce myself or just jump right to it? Whatever you tell me is fine.
Feel free to introduce yourself and Dani, and just kind of run it. You're running this.
Okay, no problem. So I'm just gonna say this briefly. My name is Dani Beit-Or. I've been investing in real estate for 22-ish years since I started at 2002 when I still lived in Europe. Since 2004 and so far, so that's been over 20 years. I've been helping others, investing myself and helping others invest in real estate. And unlike a lot of the popularity out there of things, if people want to look for the angle and how can they do and house hacking and different methodologies, which I love many of them, and I did use many of them and using many of them. I'm very much an approach of a lot of people are busy, they have jobs, they want to, they don't necessarily want to switch their life into being a full-time real estate investors. So my approach is, you guys, there's really simple tools you can use as a real estate investor without, quitting the rat race or keeping the rat race and all of those. And if you're actually not attracted to all the noise out there, you could just do good deals, all the time. And I want to kind of give you a few things, that may help you elevate some of the obstacles that you have. So that's where I'm coming from. I've helped clients buy but just around 5,000 properties in over 40-ish US metros for the past 20 years. So I have gained a lot of experience and knowledge before the crash of 2008, during the crash, after the crash, before COVID, after COVID, etc. I've flipped properties, but for the most part, I am the guy who loves boring real estate, really suitable for the working person who has a job, who not necessarily looking to ditch his job but want to leverage the job, right? I love the fact that you are employed, if you are, and I love the fact that you have a steady income. And I think real estate can leverage that, right? The lenders love you if you're stable, and they are happy to give you mortgages. And if you have access to mortgages, you can really leverage this whole idea of real estate. I live in California for 21 years. I have 100% of my investing activity has been out of state for those years. So everything I've done is completely out of state, in states like Oklahoma, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Missouri, Kansas, Georgia, North Carolina, Louisiana, Alabama for sure. I may be missing one or two, right? So Arizona, so absolutely New Mexico. So absolutely activity in many, many states, all long-term, or for the most part, long-term, nice houses, good communities, quality properties, boring real estate. I find boring real estate to be super sexy. All right, now that I gave you a little bit about my background, I want to share with you a couple of things that keep coming up when I have conversation with new and existing clients of mine. And this is, I want to help you kind of remove those obstacles, so you can not focus on the problem, but focus on the solutions or moving forward. Let's start with one of the things that keep coming up all the time: high interest rate, high interest rate, high interest rate, right? So we are in a period, economical period, where the interest rate for on mortgage interest rate is relatively high, right? And I'm using the term relatively high because if we compare it to what we can get, what we could have gotten during COVID, super high. Okay, so now I want to help you put it in perspective, because I'm not going to be able to lower the interest rate. I just want you to learn how to operate within those constraints. First of all, when you tell yourself compared to what, is it moment? Okay, is it high compared to what we could have gotten years back during COVID? Yes, it's high. If you're comparing it to that era of 2-3% ish, that's not really realistic. That's just a fluke of history, economical fluke in a way. So realistically, interest rates over the year, let's just say, were somewhere around 5 to 6%. You know what? Even call it 4.5 to 5.5%, give or take, in most times, right? So let's just use 5%. 5%. So we have to compare, or maybe 5.5. We have to compare today's interest rate of 7% or close to 7% on a mortgage compared to 5.5%. All of a sudden, the gap is a 1.5%. 1.5%. I'm not saying it's not, it's quite a lot, but it's already more manageable. Now the next question is, let's translate percentage to cash. If you're investing in $1 million homes, right, every fraction of a percentage translates to a lot of dollars. I get it. That's very challenging. If you are like me or someone who invests in, I don't know, $300,000 homes, 250, 350, give or take, maybe 200 to 400, every fraction of a percentage translates to actually not a lot of dollars. So all of a sudden, I'm looking at in a deal, and instead of generating $300 a month in cash flow, I'm only generating 125, 150. I am still looking at the deal, and I can make it work, understanding that for the time being, I'm going to have less of a cash flow. So stop saying interest rate is high. That means nothing. Interest rate is high. How can I operate it? How can I leverage it? How can I use it? And I'll give you a few examples just for the past 2 weeks. I submitted multiple offers on different opportunities, different properties, and I explained the reason behind my offer for the lower, not the low ball, but the lower offer than asking. Is part of it is the high interest rate, which impacting me, right? So I'm kind of leveraging that in my sense. By the way, the sellers know it, the agents know it. So I'm not making any news. I'm just trying to embrace it and use it. So don't be intimidated by just the high interest rate. Really incorporate it into the deal. I've considered taking even a higher interest rate today on a deal. I'm actually considering. I'm under contract, and I have a first option to buy it with a conventional mortgage, and that's what I'm hoping to do. And we have a backup option because I'm a complicated borrower, that we will go with a different program, and that will increase the interest rate. Even if I'm going to pay a higher interest rate on the secondary, on the backup option, I'm still going to buy this deal. And the reason I'm going to buy this deal is because it is such a good deal. I have so much equity in this property. Everything makes so much sense. Why would I, dismiss that deal for, let's just say the difference is going to ends up being over a few years, $5,000, even $10,000 of difference, which is not. I'm still, the deal is well worth even that gap if it translates. So first of all, high interest rate, don't just state it. See how you can deconstruct it, work with it. And also something that I want to give you a little bit of a hopeful idea is my working assumption that in the next 2-3 years, I don't know if it's going to, happen or not. There's probably going to be a chance to refinance maybe from 7 to 6-ish, give or take %. I don't know for a fact. I'm hoping, but right now, the fact that there is a high interest rate is maybe benefiting me being a buyer, because many buyers are not as active. So let me leverage that. And what do you think will happen when the interest rate will go down? Very likely more buyers, not just investors, retail buyers, investors, other will come into the marketplace, will probably push the prices up, and I'm going to have an opportunity to refinance. So in simple terms, I just bite the bullet. I just take it as as part of the program for the next of the investment for the next 2 or 3 years. Okay, I'm going to have high interest rate. I'm going to have to carry that. It's not going to be like that forever, right? Most likely. Let's just make sure we're buying well and optimize our investment, such as refinancing in the coming years, right? So don't be intimidated. Work with it, right? It's not your enemy. It just needs to make sure we are working with the high interest rate, right? Just stop saying high interest rate. It means absolutely nothing. Nothing. Okay. Let's talk about another concern that comes up a lot is from investors is the concept of vacancies or long vacancies, right? How do we avoid long vacancies? So here I want to share some frustration with you. So I operate in multiple states, and we work with multiple property management company on a very large scale, right? So for example, one property management company we work with in Kansas City, they probably have 200, 250 doors of our clients in that area. Another one in another market, 300 doors or so, whatever. Okay. Now, the reason I'm saying it is because I have with all the property managers that I work with for many years, because we bring them so much work, we have very, very, very close and good relationship. They understand that while they are an independent service provider in our ecosystem, we are their best partner in many ways, or the biggest account. So they share with me, they consult with us, we work together to improve their services so it can benefit the system, the whole, right? Our clients and themselves. There's one thing that has been very challenging for many years is to change their methods, processes when it comes to vacancies, right? And when I mean vacancies, I mean as soon as the vacancy in between tenants. Now, here's what usually happens when you have a tenant turnaround, right? When you have a tenant turnaround, one leaves and we need to prep the house to the next one. It usually goes like this: the tenant, lets them know, they move out within a day or 2 or 3 after they move out. The team goes to the property, inspect, walk through, damage. They do a list of damages or wear and tear or what needs to be done, and then they let the owner know, let the previous tenant know if needed, maybe deduct something from the security deposit, call in the contractor if they need to come to the house, or provide the bid, get the bid, prep the bid, send the bid, approve the bid, owner has question, on and on and on and on and on. All right. A week has passed and the house is vacant and we haven't made any single progress. And then maybe if it were really efficient and not a lot of work, another week have passed and now the house is ready, right? And now 2 weeks later, the house is ready, but wait, we need to take photograph. I don't know why we need to take photograph all over again. We had it from last time, but yet again, it's happening. And now we are waiting for the photographer or the listing agent or someone. With all those many inefficiencies, many times houses are just sitting, let's just call it inoperable or administratively waiting for something for 2 to 3 weeks, right? Until they are getting ready. Now, 2 to 3 weeks. If you think about maybe you're generating $50 to $75 a day on this house, do the numbers. If you're thinking the house cost you between all the expenses, if it's vacant, right? Not if it's rented, if it's vacant, all your expenses maybe costing you $50 a day. So that means you're kind of losing $50 a day, right? Adds up a lot, right? If you have one house, yeah, okay. If you have one house that happens every other year, okay. What happens if it's multiple houses every other year? That really adds up to a lot of money very quickly. So what happened is this, where I decided almost a year ago, or less than a year ago, that I need to completely rechange the restructure how we tackle vacancies. Now, all I did is I did reverse engineering to the process, and I just completely redesigned the process of obtaining or processing a vacancy. The problem is, and the reason I'm telling you that is because I want you to be aware of that. Most of the property managers are not, even the ones that I am the biggest client, are not willing to work with us and change their working habits for a variety of reasons, which I understand the reasoning, but those reasonings are not really justifiable in the bigger scheme of things. So here is my turn. It is something that I want to turn to you. Do the same. Push your property manager, or if you're self-managing, start looking at breaking down the idea of tenant turning, reducing your vacancy tremendously. There is a way how to do it. I'm not going to elaborate all of that right now, but there are ways how to optimize, improve a lot of inefficiencies that are coming around one major event, the tenant turnover. So you can do that. If you are working with a property manager, you will probably get a no, and we are not changing just for you. And that's one of the problems when working with property managers. By the way, with property managers in that sense, I love working with property managers. Don't get me wrong. However, because I ran into so many inefficiencies and so many challenges changing those process systems and processes that they use, old, unimproved, unchanged, that works for them, systems and processes, but doesn't necessarily work for me as an owner, and doesn't necessarily work for me as someone who has many investors. So that's why, part of that reason we launched our own kind of hybrid owner-managed system. And the hybrid owner-managed system just means between using property managers and using, and self-managing, right? Let's just call it a scale. We decided there need to be a middle ground, a hybrid situation. And the middle ground is self-manage with support, right? Not just self-manage. A lot of technology platforms out there are doing a great job with technology supporting the self-manage or the owner-manage concept, which is great. And many of them are doing an amazing job, but they're only a technology platform. They're not providing solution in situation with problem. The owners are left with, okay, what am I going to do now? I have a situation here. I have no idea what to do with it. Or how do I juggle so many things? That's where I decided there's got to be another solution here, which is what we call the hybrid owner manage, or the hybrid management concept, which is kind of ecosystem with the technology, but technology is supporting the concept of this hybrid property management concept, not property managers, property management concept. So I'll be happy to elaborate on that if we have time during the question. I just want to challenge you with yourself about the whole concept of tenant turnover, or challenge you with you challenging your property manager. I'll bet that with some thinking, some optimization, you could probably cut down those days of vacancy to more than a half, right? Less, half the days. Okay. Problematic tenants. How do we avoid problematic tenants, right? So we all know there's not 100% avoidance. So in that case, how do we reduce the chances? Okay. So there's a couple of ways I came up over the years in order to optimize the decision-making process when it comes to reducing the chances of problematic tenants, right? And actually, I have another thought that an idea just came to me in recent months, or about a month ago, that I haven't acted on just yet. I'll share that with you as well. For me, it all starts with the design of the system, the design of the idea, of the concept, right? The ideal situation is if I make good decisions about the type of tenants that I will have in the property by going to certain areas, certain type of houses, I'm already weeding out the chances of problematic tenants, right? So it's not just one thing. There's not a magic wand here. We have to do multiple layers of things in order to reduce the chances. So number one for me, I go to areas of the middle class, and I try to go to areas where I'll have the middle class family that have jobs, that both work or one spouse work with kids, stable, dog, cat, backyard, good schools. For me, again, boring real estate just means the chances of me having issues with the tenant are just getting reduced, right? So that's one. Number two, I try to buy houses that are either in better shape or make sure when the tenant moves in, they're in good shape, meaning the house looks nice. It doesn't have to be all bells and whistles, just looks nice. It's not neglected by any means. And I keep maintaining, I keep telling my clients, and we keep making sure we invest back in our properties so they are well maintained. And that helps, sends the message to the tenant, we are taking care of things, right? So we want you to take care of things, and so on. So that's number two. Number three, I know it's obvious, but some people just don't know to use it properly or fully, is the background check, right? Very critical. Do the background check, credit check, all those options in order to weed out the problematic ones, and let's just stay away from those people. So just by doing all those three layers, right? Area, location, I'm already kind of I'm actually already filtering out problematic ones. The shape, the condition of the house, right? You can have a nice tenant, but a house who gives you issues, or an old house that breaks. I have one of those, by the way. There's probably not a single month without an issue. An old house, 1921 house. So constantly there are problems with this house. Super nice tenants, but the house keeps giving me hassle and trouble nonstop. So we have that bad decision. That was a house that I wanted to flip, ended up with a rental. That was a poor decision, keeping it or not wanting to keep it, but I kept it for whatever reason. So was not my intention to keep it as a long-term rental. So here's the proof. Poor condition house, I'm paying the price for it right now. Okay. So good tenants, bad house. When you have a bad house, it makes the tenant look bad, that they have a problem with you or they are complaining all the time. These guys are not complaining. I'm actually very happy they're not complaining more, about all those issues. So doing all those things will reduce the chances of you guys running into problems and running into issues with tenants. I think those, for me, are very obvious. I just know that not everybody's doing it. The next thing I want to talk about is what a lot of people call the buy box, right? I'm sure you heard the term buy box. What's your buy box? So I've been for years hearing people when I go to events and I go to and meet people, like, what's your buy box? What's your buy box? What's your buy box, right? Buy box. What does it mean? My buy box, okay, I like single family homes, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 1,500 to 1,750 square feet, 90, 80 and after, my buy box, right? Price, rent, etc. If you are already actively investing, or if you are getting started, I want to tell you something. For a moment, drop the idea of the buy box aside. The buy box is not the issue here. Right? What I would like you to think about, first of all, before the buy box, is what I call the personality box. Right? The personality box is who you are as an investor, right? What's your appetite? What's your skill set? What are you willing to take on and what are you not willing to take on, right? Are you able to buy, like, how much time you have available? So that means can you be more actively involved or more passively involved? Can you get a mortgage, right? Is it something that's available to you? If you are buying a certain house that is very likely to have more issues, if you have the personality or readiness to go in and invest in the flip, expect to be more issues, more problems, more friction, etc. And that's fine if that fits your personality box, right? But if you are not someone who's good with project management or follow-ups or being in the details, maybe flipping is not the right thing for you, right? So who cares about the buy box if your personality box doesn't match the actual investment? So take stock with yourself. Ask some questions to yourself. Am I buying, how much time do I have? General questions, right? Tonight, you know what? We are in the morning, how about lunch today, or with your coffee after this, or after we're done, ask yourself the following questions: am I buying cash or financing? Mortgage. Can I get a mortgage? If you don't know if you can get a mortgage, find out. How do you find out? You call a lender and you just go through them with a pre-qualification, and they'll let you know, right? So easy. Don't guess. No need to guess. Yes, no, I don't think so. I can ask, talk to a lender, go through the process of application if needed. They'll let you know if there's problems on your application. At least you would know those problems and you can address them. All right. So how much money can you buy with? Can mortgage? Yes or no? Can you buy a mortgage? How much experience you have? What your personality? Are you going to be more heavily involved or actually prefer to be less involved? This is not about just the personality. It's also about your availability. If you're busy with life, you probably want to be, matching yourself to an investment that requires less of your time and energy and attention versus if you're doing it for a living, right? So look at those things and more to check your personality box. And once you know your personality box, it will be easier to check your buy box, right? Your buy box needs to match your personality box and not the other way around. If you don't have to dime, if you don't have time to flip houses or to project manager flip properties, maybe that's the wrong avenue for you at the moment. Maybe in 6 months, maybe in a year, maybe in 2, things will change. You can actually redo this buy box, buy personality thing again and say, you know what? Since then, when I heard this guy speak, I've done 3 deals. I'm ready for my next one. I'm ready to go in a different direction, which is fine. But what I see a lot of people do, what's your buy box? They feel like they have to answer. Maybe they sign up to many databases or lists and start receiving properties. How are you going to know if it's not about how are you going to know if this is not financially a good fit for you, but operationally a good fit for your investment if you haven't done those prep work about yourself. Okay. Next, I want to talk about maybe an old dilemma, but I hear it a lot. There's people who believe they have to focus on the cash flow. There's people who believe they have to focus on appreciation. And I don't know, I guess I'm very a middle ground kind of a guy, right? You don't have to be only on one end of the spectrum. You can actually be in the middle. What does it mean? How does it look to be in the middle? Well, in the middle, it means you're still want to have a little bit of a cash flow, so you're not focusing on the cash flow only, but at the same time, you're also want to be able to build some equity. So you're not fully betting on this one. You're not fully betting on this one. You just want to be somewhere in the middle saying, you know what? Cash flow is part of what I'm looking for, even in today's environment, but also want to go with the appreciation. How do you make it happen? Well, I think it starts with proper expectations, right? If you expect in today's marketplace, I have clients that are looking for high cash flowing properties, and I get it, and I know what they're looking for. Everybody wants cash flow, and that's fine. But many of those properties in today with the current interest rate are just not going to be attractive, right? So I'll give you an example. The other day we looked at a fourplex for 450-ish, and it's generating on a very conservative. We did the current performance based on current rents that are probably $300. It's a duplex, $300 below market rent, right, per door. So $600 ish. Let's just even say $500 below market rent at the moment. It's already generating about almost $400, $350, $370 with 7% interest rate a month in cash flow after expenses. When I say cash flow, that includes vacancy repairs, property taxes, insurance, no HOA here, property management, leasing fee, everything. Right? So we don't just make it make it up. So after all those expenses, realistic expenses, low rent, it's already generating $350, $370, right, a month. Once we buy it and we can increase the rent, right, which will probably take some time because occupancy, it will probably generate, let's just say $500 more a month, maybe not, $450-ish, $400 more, maybe, a month. I show it to some of my clients and they're like, it's only generating $350 for 450-ish investment, right? Not exciting for them. I get it, not exciting. They're just not well calibrated, and that's what we're trying to do all the time. This is a lot of cash flow for today's, marketplace, right? A lot of cash. Remember, this is a nice duplex in a nice area, in a nice part of town with good schools. This is not your low end, very strong cash flow kind of a everything that I've mentioned before. The good tenants, the nice area, the good schools, everything that I've mentioned, the boring type of real estate really embodies into this kind of property in the form of a duplex. This is not a property that is set, in a broken property in a very challenging part of town that can generate a lot of cash flow, but will probably bring us a lot of noise in the system, right? So calibrate your expectation on the cash flow, lower your expectations because of the interest rate right now. Look where the opportunity is. There is an opportunity here, right? We buy it, we wait a little bit, we increase the rent, the cash flow will improve probably within a year. We're probably going to improve the cash flow, tremendously. By the way, this duplex has been sitting on the market for quite some time. Maybe an opportunity to offer a good, a lower offer than asking. On the top of that, the owner has owned it for many years, so they bought it for less than half than what they're asking. So I think they're asking for $475. We want to offer $450. They bought it for $150 10 years ago. I mean, it's not that the owner is not super tight. It's a perfect opportunity with everything going on to come in and say, all right, let's make a good offer. So we have some equity from day one and improve the cash flow. Be patient a little bit. Improve the cash flow once when we increase the rent, improve the cash flow twice when we have an opportunity to refinance. And all of a sudden, we have this $450,000, $60,000 duplex in a good area, doing well equity-wise and doing very well cash flow-wise. We just have to be patient a little bit and kind of see where we're heading. So for me, that type of a property is amazing opportunity just because there's so much upside in terms of some equity, some cash flow. And by the way, I'm not talking about flipping, renovating, or doing anything. All I've done here is navigated the financial aspect of this property to set it up to be a better position for me as an investor, and being patient, right? I'm being patient. I understand it's not going to happen overnight. I want to mention two more things, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but I want to mention two more things, and then we'll maybe open up for questions or see what you guys have to talk about some more. In real estate, they're typically, in the startup world, I don't know if you're familiar with it, there is a concept in the startup world that's called the hockey stick, right? The hockey stick means that many startups, what they're looking for is to kind of have a very slow income or profitability, in the first phase, months or years, until there's a certain point, it goes very, very, very slow, and then they want to boom, right, very quickly. So let's just say for 3 years they have barely no income because they're building everything and prepping for scale, and then they want to scale and get that thing, and that's the hockey stick of startup. Real estate doesn't operate exactly like this, right? We don't normally have slow income or low income, and then something happens and it booms up. Normally not in sense of equity and not in sense of cash flow. As an investor, there is what I call the hockey stick idea concept of real estate. And that, for me, when you buy a property, let's just say just one for a moment, and possibly 5 to 7 years later, so it's not a fast hockey stick idea, but it's a slower idea, there's a very good chance that this property increased in value to the point that you can tap into that equity and maybe use it to buy another piece of real estate. 1031 exchange, doing a HELOC, something, right? So the idea is, if you could assume that in 5 to 7 years, no guarantees, it could be, could happen even sooner, but especially if we bought it well, there is a very good chance that in 5 to 7 years, you will have some equity that will enable you to, if you pull it out, go and buy a second piece of property. That means without bringing money to the table, right? I'm not pulling $10,000 out and bringing $90,000 from my pocket. That's not the point, right? So all of a sudden, one property translated into two, right? So now think about it this way. What if you buy two properties now and then you do that hockey stick idea? I mean, you don't do anything. It just happens to you, and you are leveraging the hockey stick idea. And then in 5 years, those two properties are translated into 4 properties without needing to bring more money into the table, right? Is it guaranteed that it will happen? No. Have I seen it happen? Absolutely, many, many, many times. Not even during the COVID era appreciation years, or even before. So if you really think about it, you'll kind of say, okay, real estate has a tendency to operate or work in my favor slowly, but at some point there's going to be a turn where I can tap into more equity and let it run even, and buy more real estate and empower my future financial position or foundation, right? So sometimes investors are a little bit kind of baffled. Okay, so I'm going to buy one, and what's going to happen? I'm going to buy two. It's nice. It's okay. Is it worth it? Tenants and issues. It's worth it. It's worth it because after a few years, those 1 or 2 properties will increase their, very likely, right? It depends on what you do and what timing and things, but there's a good chance that in 5 to 7 years, you'll build some equity that you can tap into and continue rolling. And this is without you able to buy more properties without tapping into the equity, right? So that concept is there. You just need to utilize it and see it and have a vision where you're heading with that idea, because it is something that you can tap into and benefit you. I want to share with you a little anecdote to emphasize that I've seen happening many, many times. Many investors of mine, when they start, beginners, they're very nervous, right? And I tell them, here's what's going to happen. You're going to have vacancy. You're going to have repairs. You're going to have all right, they get it. They get it. And you know what? When we meet 6 months to 2 years later, usually they tell me pretty much everything you told us happened, right? We had some vacancy, we had some repairs, some miscommunication, but everything is fine. Almost always at the 2-year mark, after they purchase the first property and they start kind of playing around on Zillow and saying how much equity they've able to accumulate, passively accumulate, usually they're like, what's happening here? I bought this property. It went up in value so much, right? It's not a lot of money, but I've never been able to passively really build some equity like this. And 2 years in, they really get it. And I always get that call, like, we're happy, let's move. We want to not only buy more, we want to see how we can move faster. I call it the 2-year mark, because in 2 years, they've been able to see some equity, face the issues, challenges, friction, noise that comes with real estate, see that the devil is not that terrible, and then say something amazing is happening in my life. Now, not only that I want to buy more, I want to see how I can move faster. And subconsciously, I can tell, especially when I talk to couples, how in their household, the entire strategization of their financials is aligning behind the idea of real estate, right? Without even planning for it on purpose. They're just saying something interesting is happening here. I need to tap into that even more. I can see what's happening. All right. And that's pretty amazing to see. I've seen it so many times, and I realize there's a pattern here of human behavior. So if you're not there, you need to get there, right? To really become a believer. But there is that, equity building in the background that you can tap into that will accelerate you. So don't necessarily overthink it, like what's going to happen, how will I buy house number 2, house number 3, I don't know, it's confusing and all the effort. Sometimes it's better to start with the first building block, right? Your first property, and start building from there and keep optimizing. Keep at it and keep optimizing. Keep at it and keep optimizing. Last thing I want to say, and I'm going to wrap up with this, the things that I want to cover. There's obviously more things that are on my list, but just to keep it within a reasonable time, is what I call your ability, or the importance of how critical is your ability to ask good questions, right? And why am I saying this? So I've noticed that a lot of people are coming to a conversation with me. So I have a lot of conversations with beginners, advanced, experienced, no experience investors. I've had in the many tens of thousands conversations over the past 20 years, right? Routine conversations, strategic conversation, everything. Many times people come to meet with me and they barely know what to ask me, right? And I help them, I help get it out of them. But if you are good at asking questions, get better at it. If you're not good at asking questions, you have to prep yourself to be better at this, right? And why am I emphasizing this? Because if you want to advance yourself, anything, spiritually, financially, investment-wise, knowledge-wise, anything, if you want to advance yourself, you want to make sure you're asking the right questions or asking many questions. And I want to give you an example how I perceived it probably more than 15 years ago. So more than 15 years ago, when I did some research on vetting a property manager or a provider, a reference check, I can't remember exactly. I sit down and say, okay, what am I going to ask this person, right? What if I jump on a call and the person is not really a talker? So I sat down with myself and I wrote the questions that I want to accomplish. Actually, I took a few days to still write it, because sometimes the question comes up not exactly when I'm just sitting to write those questions. So I opened this notebook or electronic notebook, and I just add questions, right? I prep. Here's another question, another question, another question, another question. And then before I jump on a call, I review the questions. I see if I didn't duplicate my questions. I see if I need to reorganize the order of the questions. Sometimes I ask the same question in a different way on purpose because I want to see if they answer it differently. I need to make sure when I get an opportunity to talk to this person, it's maybe the only time I'm going to talk to this person. Maybe it's not. I want to make sure I use that time to the benefit of advancing me as much as I can, right? So what I'm suggesting to you, if you're not in the habit of doing that, start getting in the habit of doing that, getting those questions for you. I'll give you another example. When I consult seek legal advice regarding anything, right? So I got this service. I'm using this legal service for consultation. When I reach out to the attorney, I say, here's the situation. I give him a synopsis. Here's what's happening. Here's the document, and here are my questions. Not only that I sat down and I wrote the questions and prepped them, I already sent them, right, the questions. Because when we jump on the call, finally, when I get to speak to the attorney, and I know it's either paid by the hour or it's going to be even if he's just going to talk to me, I know he's going to be tight on time. I want to make the most of this conversation. So I'm prepared. I make sure he's prepared. I come with a question. When I tell my attorney, here's the thing I want you to mainly focus on or review in the contract that I'm sending you, right? What do you think is going to happen? He's going to if I just don't say anything, he's going to read it. It's okay. It's not okay. Here's the thing. When I say, hey, those are the main things that are critical or I'm not sure about, I am tapping into his knowledge, into his experience, etc., and I'm going to be able to get more out of that situation. I do it with the legal consultations. I do it with my tax preparation. I do it pretty much with everyone, right? Everything that it's important, I take the time, write the questions, and prep myself for the meeting, and then even many times send the questions in advance. So when we finally speak, the conversation starts, or it is more meaningful or more substantial. I highly, highly recommend you take the time to prep and use any type of whatever works for you. So when you jump on a call with me, with someone else, right, you are already able to advance the conversation to benefit more from this, time frame that you have together. That being said, I covered everything that I wanted to talk about. I'll just give you a recap here. We talked about the high interest rate and how to tackle that. We talked about minimizing the vacancy between the tenant turnover, minimizing the chances with problematic tenants, buy box versus personality box that I want you to tap into and ask yourself, cash flow versus appreciation, the real estate hockey stick concept, and the most important one in many ways, learn to ask great questions. I'm going to go back to you now, Steve, and then you let me know if we have questions, if people want to interact. I'm not sure what are we going to do next. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Danny. I really appreciate your point about preparing for meetings and sessions. That's a really strong tip for running effective meetings. And especially when you start working with the folks that are charging you by the hour, and it gets very expensive when you're not prepared. For a while, a pet peeve of mine is people showing up late or not being prepared at a meeting. I've gotten better at there now, but I would personally say that if I'm more prepared coming in than the other person, it at least it hurts your reputation, or it hurts kind of the impression of you. So just the being more prepared, really goes a long way, and it means you're respecting the other person's time too.
100% in agreement on that. I feel the same way, and when I meet with someone, especially investors, and they come ready and prepared and ask me good questions, I'm blown away. I love it so much because I know this is going to be a great conversation. They may not turn into a client, but I already know this conversation is going to be beneficial for them, and they keep me involved or engaged, higher level of engagement with them, which is great.
Yeah, and I think it's about building a habit of preparing and sending that information ahead of time. And if that person has time to even respond back before the meeting, then you're already walking in. You already got a first round of
absolutely. You already want
to just dive deep, and so I found just kind of an additional piece to get more effectivity out of everyone's time.
Yeah.
We got a couple of really good questions here, Danny.
Sure.
Let's talk about that key one. How does the hybrid management concept work? How do you do that to, we talk about reducing vacancy and inefficiencies. I was going to ask you to deep dive a little bit on that for everybody.
Okay. So are we talking about the vacancy aspect only, or the entire hybrid concept? It's like
I think we can talk about the entire concept and then how it also addresses, along with its other benefits, I'm sure.
Okay. So I'm privileged in a way that I've been doing it for so many years. I've been able to observe. I observe a lot my clients. I want to learn what's happening on their end, right? I see their behavior. By the way, a lot of my clients are long-term clients with many years of relationship. I still have clients that I'm friends with that started working with me 15 years ago, right? One of my best friends is a client turning into a friend, a really good friend. And we are 17 years later, and we're still in business and still working and engaging. And by the way, I invested in his startup now. So I have that privilege to see how people behave, right? And what I've seen with those who decide to turn from working with property manager to self-manage, if they have one property, they can probably handle it. If they have two properties, they can probably wing it. And they're already starting to have problems, right? It's when they have three or more that they're having a hard time to take over this operational challenge, because there's a lot. See, when you have, what is the biggest challenge? There's a lot of fractional small communication to you, to a vendor, you to the tenant, and follow-ups. A lot of this, right? And who said what and when and all of those things. Most of the clients of mine that are busy, they are not very good, even the organized one, keeping everything together in a structured manner. So the first challenge is to be there, you spread all over. Many of them do not even know what their real cash flow is. Many of them do not have their act together when it comes to better tax preparation. So much so, right? Intelligent people, high earners, not well organized because it's very specific. I get it. So one thing I wanted to tackle is like, let's help those self-managed people to get better organized, to be able to track things more closely and properly and easily. And on the top of that, if we use a technology system, it will help streamline the rents, the accounting, the controlling, the mess, right? That's number one. So we need to kind of create some order in this chaos in order to be able to do it better and more efficient. Then the next thing I notice, they are many times clueless, right? Who's going to help me here? I'm talking about the self-managed one. Just because there is an amazing technology platform being used, that technology, all technology platforms, all they provide is a technology platform, not leasing, not questions, not problems, not support, right? So all the clients are like, okay, what am I going to do now? I have a problem. I can go on some forum, one Facebook group or another forum and start asking questions, and that'll be fine. But sometimes that takes time and energy and attention, and we don't always have. And maybe how many times you ask something on Facebook and you get completely different answer? Actually, how many times you ask a question on Facebook and you get the right answer? Almost never, right? Usually is someone's like, why are you doing this? To do that. I didn't ask you that, but it's crazy. So we created an environment that we have technology in the middle, but a lot of support on situations, and we brought in the right specialists, right? So for me, if I take it one step further, one of the key components of this concept was I need to really tackle the vacancy thing. So instead of using a leasing agent in a traditional manner, I only brought in, and I'm still bringing in, leasing, I call it leasing specialist. Now, what is the difference between a leasing manager to a leasing specialist? The one first criteria a leasing specialist that cannot have, they cannot work for a property management company. Because if they work for a property management company, they bring all those practices in. Not okay. I need you to be a leasing person who knows leasing, who does leasing. I don't want you to be a realtor that once a year leases a property. You're not a leasing person for me. You're just doing a favor to a friend. And then I understand that I want to get those leasing people on board. First of all, to get how their practices are. Now, I came up with a manual how to tackle the leasing, the whole turnover, of from one tenant to the other. And I go to the leasing agent. Here is the protocol. This is the protocol that you already practice without even, usually putting it in a protocol or a proper procedure, because you never took the time to do it. You just do it. I'm just making it very clear and structured. I want you to sign off on this. I want you to tell me that if you're on board with this protocol. All of them says, you know what, it's not 100% exactly what I do, but I definitely see all the things that you added. I'm game, right? They have no problem. And then I tell them, the reason I need you to sign off on this is because I'm going to give it to my client, because they're going to look into this protocol procedure as well and expect you to be part of it exactly as it's outlined. I said exactly within reason, right? We're not hard, difficult people. We just want to make sure there's a very clear framework. And that part of the framework, when we start working on leasing a property, 90 days before the current tenant moves out. 90 days before a current tenant moves out, that's when we kick off. And we start prepping, right? So that's a whole concept, which for me, when I tell it to some of my clients, the experienced one, they're laughing at me. I say, this is the way it should be. They're just saying this is the obvious way. For me, it's also very obvious it should be this way. I'm just shocked that the system doesn't, the property managers are not using it. So everything I just told you now, no technology system, maybe AI will help support it, but none of the technology platforms are able to do what I just told you, right? They're very good with, it's a system. You tell me one thing or you add some information, I know how to process that, right? But what about all this process. And remember, we have people involved, right? Owner and new tenant, so old tenant, new tenant, maybe a vendor or two, right? So there's people involved here. So by the way, when I was deconstructing and reconstructing the turnover, the releasing process, right? I realized I can actually introduce even more technology into that, phase of the property. And I decided that because we are remote investors, I'm not going to introduce more technology. I'm going to go old school, just in a sense, because you know what? Remember when I mentioned something about problematic tenants? This is where I need the human touch. I still need it, right? They will walk the property and will tell me what's going on with the property. They'll meet with the prospect and get a sense of the person beyond the paper, right? So we're not just doing background check. We're just getting a sense, right? If they come up and the person is not there on time and they look, something is off about them, they'll say, you know what, everything on paper looks fine, but something is off, right? So at least we know that. No AI, no technology platform can do that. I have one leasing specialist who takes an extra step, and he actually goes to the tenant, the new applicant, current property, to give them the paperwork. And he says, I don't need to do it. I just want to see where they live, if it matches. I want to get a sense of another sense of who they are, right? What technology can solve that, right? So I decided that when I am moving so many things to the technology support, phase with the owner manage, this is one function. I want the human touch. I need the human touch. I need the human eyes. It's my boots on the ground. Remember, I don't have property managers. I kicked out the property manager, but I supplemented it with a leasing specialist who are doing way more than your traditional leasing manager within a property management company, and they're going to be compensated, as well for that reason. So that is an example how one major concept required a lot of restructuring or deconstructing and rebuilding in order to make sure we can provide the proper or the max, reduce the chances for problems. Remember, I have to keep in mind, my owners, that's what I have, are remote owners. They're not going to go to the property. It's not like they're using a listing agent, but maybe sometime tomorrow after work, I'm going to drive by the house and see what's going on. They're not going to do that, right? So it's 100% dependent on that listing specialist to provide a very wholesome, a very big aspect of the transitioning between one tenant to another, way beyond your listing manager, who maybe just sends them to see the property. And here's your application link. Right?
Yeah, so I love that, Dani. I think you also mentioned last time that a property manager, they specialize in just managing a property, but not getting it leased. And we actually just had a rental property that was sitting around for like 5-6 months, just ended up burning cash. Because we were just we go, oh, it's gonna happen, but it did not happen, and we ended up also getting into the helping with the marketing and leasing piece.
So, my experience as property managers, a big portion of what they do is leasing. So but I think they're just so inefficient, right? Listen, my deconstruction, it's not perfect. I don't know if it's going to work in all my redesign, right? I know it's not going to work in every situation, right? Usually when I talk to the property, before this, when I used to talk to my property manager, I said, let's do it the following way. And the answer is usually like this. Listen, until a tenant moves out, we can't really walk the property and see the real damage. Not an incorrect statement, right? And only then we can start, deciding what to do and what needs to be done. And okay, I agree 100%. What are the chances that on 50% of the houses, 50%, right? What you're saying and the way you operate is the correct one, and mine is wrong. And in 50%, you can actually go to the property before, inspect it, knowing that you're not going to be perfect inspection. Maybe in 50% of the cases, you can still see very well what's going on with the property. Do an analysis of what needs to be done. Obviously, we're going to wait to the tenant to move out to do the final. Not do it 90 days before. Do it 3 weeks before, right? Maybe have you come in with the contractor already, do the bid, so you know when a tenant moves out, the day after, you know what, 2 days after, you can start work, because here's what's going to happen. We're going to do it, let's just say 2 to 3 weeks before, maybe more. We have 2 to 3 weeks to put the bid together, to walk the property, talk to the owner, maybe negotiate, maybe agree. Everything, all that time that usually happens after the tenant moves out, all this wasted time, we can do it before the tenant moves out. And you know what? Maybe I'm going to be the listing person. We're going to go to the property and say, hey, listen, this property is in the 50%. I think it's going to be more like in the 20% situations, right? That we have to wait until the tenant moves out, and we have to activate traditional operational method. Okay, I'll take it. 50%, I'll take it. How about why are we punishing 50% of the scenarios? Because of the 50% that are the bad behavior. They're not bad behavior, they're more challenging one, right? So they're using their methodology of as if all the houses are the same, because it's convenient to them. I get it. It's a very convenient to you to operate this way, but I gotta tell you something. This is not about you. This is about me. This is about me. I'm the owner, I'm the investor, I'm taking the chances, I'm taking the risk. And if you operate in an inefficient way, I pay the price, not you, right? So why are you not changing why are you not going to the property and determining method A, method B? I'll be completely okay with it. You come back and say, listen, we can't do anything. This is a mess. There's so much stuff. It's a hoarder. Okay, I'll wait. I have to wait. I'll go to the traditional method. But I've been in houses, my houses and my clients' houses, that I walked in and I saw an amazing, property in the sense the tenant is clean, the tenant is pleasant, you can walk through, they will work with you, they will be cooperative. Not all tenants are bad, not all tenants are living like a hoarders, not all tenants are packing their houses with stuff. That's not true. So when we have a problematic situation, let's use that as the problematic one, in the sense that I can't operate in the optimized way I want. I get it, but why do I have to pay? Like, maybe that's not the case. Maybe 50%, my guess it's even 60, 70, 80% of the times, we can probably operate. Yes, there may be something that's going to be found later on when they move the couch and we see something, and we will communicate to the owner. Say, listen, here's what we know. Keep in mind, if they move the couch and there's a big hole in the drywall that we couldn't see, we're going to have to take care of it. And most owners, probably all owners, say, you know what, I get it. If I explain it in advance, that I can't see everything, it's not 100%, they will work with me. They're not against me, but I'm not wasting. So much time is wasted on going there, walking there, until the vendor, like getting the bid, all that, I need to pay for the fact that the vendor is busy. Now, I want him to use it, and that's fine. And use this guy, you trust him. And I'll wait for this guy another day or two. But it's another day or two until he comes to the property. Another day or two until he provides the bid. Another day or two until he answers my question, because he said something that didn't make sense in the bid, right? 6 days. 6 days, right? Let's waste that time while the house is already generating. All right, let's at least try and do that. For me, it's so obvious, it just kills me just to talk about it, that they're not operating this way. It's just, it's been my longest argument with the property managers for 15 years. And I have to admit, guys, with all my experience and working with property manager and being the big client, I am still losing that battle. I haven't given up, but I'm still not coming on the winning side. That's why I decided.
Dani, I would say, you're speaking to me too. Like, those are the issues. We want the asset to be producing cash, right, every single day, and not just sitting around and it's burning cash. Really appreciate your sharing today. We got a lot of amazing tips. I want to poke at you a little bit. We advertise this is top 10 investor concerns, but you didn't give us 10. I know you gave us 10 nuggets by now, but you gave us like 7 items. And so it was maybe something we want to tweak a little bit. We have a lot of questions.
Okay.
And I think we don't, just like last time, we don't have the time to go over all these questions. what we're gonna do is we'll compile all these questions and send it to you. If you could give us some time, give us the answer, and then what we'll do is we'll put together a PDF and we'll send it to all our.
I love that idea
here. So if you have registered for this webinar, you're watching this live, make sure you register. There are ways you can watch without registering. Make sure you register so you get all these goodies. All right, great. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Dani, again. And I would love to have you back to teach us further on this topic. I have properties that I could use some help with managing too. It sounds like we share the same concerns. So great. Thank you, guys. We will have you back again soon, and we'll have another class coming up too. So good to see everybody, and until next time, we'll see each other again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Cheers.